A quick video on dogs and road trips, how to keep them safe. On today's video, I want to cover what it looks like for dogs and road trips. How do you keep your dogs safe? So as we get ready for a very exciting season ahead of us, this fall is going to be a lot of fun. I have a lot of road trips planned to go and hit some different fields, but the biggest thing is keeping my dog safe, as I know she's the most important part of my hunting team. Now, really, for a very successful road trip to occur with your dog, it starts at home. The biggest being teaching your dog how to be comfortable in a kennel. So for me, kennel training started at the 8-week mark when I first received my puppy. Taking her everywhere in her kennel such that she felt safe and comfortable in her kennel, that she can just sleep the entire time. So that helps with recovery from to and from the field, as well as on those longer road trips. So for me, it's usually a 3 to 4 hour drive to our hunting spot from home. So I know that I can get up in the morning, throw her in the kennel, she'll sleep that entire way and not get car sick or have any issues with being in a kennel. So now, the safest place for a kennel to be is in the truck cab. That's going to have the most structural integrity in the case of an accident or a rollover. But if you do have to put them back in your truck bed, I do recommend tie downs for your dog kennels, keeping them safe and secure if you were to get in an accident. That's the best way to do it. And now there's a lot of great kennels out there. I utilize a Upland kennel. I highly recommend them. They're lightweight, they fit multiple dogs, etc. So this is the kennel that I choose to use. I've been very satisfied with it, and I'd highly recommend them as a product. The next item is teaching them how to be a good eater. I know that sounds pretty general, but I would say if your dog can eat well at home, they're going to eat well on the road. So traveling and being on the road is very stressful, not only for you, but also for your companion. So finding a way to get them to eat is going to help them settle. It's also going to allow you to go hunt longer days, longer weekends, etc. So food is part of their recovery. Finding a way to get them the necessary nutrients that they need will help you. So having a good eater, not a nibbler or someone that kind of grazes, as I'll say, having a food motivated dog is really going to help you with your road trips. The other reason that I will also do is, or other thing that I also like to do with my dog is I will float their food at home. The reason is I'm training them to get comfortable with eating their food out of water and also drinking up that water. So the biggest thing that I run to when I'm out hunting is making sure that my dog's drinking enough water while we're hunting. So the 2 bottles that I carry in my vest while we're out there, she's going to be drinking from and lapping up, but really most of her water is coming from her morning meal as well as her evening meal. Now, you did hear me right, I do feed my dog in the morning. I usually get up around 6 a.m., feed her such that she has around 3 hours of rest before she's going out to the field. That way I'm avoiding any turned stomachs, but also giving her the necessary nutrients that she needs for a full day of hunting. I'll then also feed her in the evening, usually after 2 hours of rest from hunting, giving her more recovery. But with those meals, I'm usually floating it pretty generously with water. So there's plenty of videos out there of how to go about doing that, but introducing your dog of how to float and eat with water is very important to their recovery. On the topic of water, I'll usually carry a lot of water for my dog on hunting weekends. The general rule of thumb that I carry is around 1 gallon per day. And maybe they're not drinking all that water in a day, but that just makes sure that I have enough water for them. So I do bring water from home is the biggest thing. If you do have to use water, I highly recommend buying bottled or distilled water, just because water can actually upset a dog's stomach when you're on the road, whether they're drinking from swamps, ponds, or even just tap water from that local hotel or wherever you may be staying that weekend. I usually bring water from home because it's one less thing or one less variable for them to get sick on and have a more successful hunt. With my dog travels and when I am taking them on road trips, if I am running them in the cab, I'm less worried, but in the truck bed, I am worried about their heat or their temperature in there. So I'm utilizing a Govee sensor. These are just temperature sensors that you can get on Amazon. They're 15 to 20 bucks. I highly recommend them as a product. I run them just so that I can sync it up to my phone. I can run alerts on it as well as set temperature ranges. So I can quickly reference what's the temperature in the back of the truck while I'm taking a road trip. Is my dog getting too hot? Do I need to get him cooled down? Do I need to pull him into the truck? Just such that I'm not running into any risk of my dog overheating in the back of the truck bed or being in an uncontrolled situation. So highly recommend getting some sort of way to keep track of your temperature or the temperature of your dog in the back of a truck, or some way, just because overheating is never fun. It does happen, unfortunately, every season, especially early season, September or early October. Finding a way and keeping your dog safe and cool is the biggest thing. Now, along those lines is, if I am at a field and say I'm running multiple dogs and I have to leave a dog back behind, I'm going to try and find a spot for my truck that's in the shade, usually with some windows open to get some cross breeze in there. But also, if I have to or if I can't find that, I'm going to leave my truck running. So blowing some cool air over that dog, just such that while they're panting as they're excited for the weekend as you are, they're not going to build up heat or steam or humidity into that vehicle. Usually if they're in the truck bed, I'll make sure everything's open, or I'll make sure it's at the right operating temperature. If it's warmer, say than like 60 degrees, I'm going to usually throw them in the truck cab and keep the vehicle running for them. Now, people say, well, that's burning a lot of gas. Well, honestly, it's totally worth it for my dogs. Keeping them safe is the #1 key here, and that's what I do. And that's what I highly recommend, I should say. Now, another item that a lot of people tend to forget is making sure that you have your dog's vaccines and rabies information with you. So some states will require you to make sure you have that on hand, as they will need to check your dog's vaccination and rabies, make sure it's up to date as you're out hunting. I've only run into that one time where I need to provide a rabies vaccination proof. So keeping that with you, I usually keep it in the cab of my truck with my hunting license, just so I can quickly reference it and pull it out. Then, last but not least, to a successful dog hunt is, once you get to a field, your dogs are going to be very energized. They're going to want to burn off a ton of energy as they just stood 2 to 4 to 6 hours in your truck. I utilize tie outs. So in my truck cab system, in my earlier video, I showed that I created just a simple tie out system that I can utilize. Throw it with a stake. I can attach them to that stake, keep them isolated. The reason that I do this is, one, to keep my dogs safe, such that they're not running around. We're usually parked next to a field or next to a big country road that may get some traffic. I don't want them running out in front of a vehicle and getting hit, because that's just gonna be a huge damper on the weekend. So I highly recommend some way to tie out your dog. That way you can control them, check on their poop, making sure that they're healthy, give them water, give them food, etc. So keeping a way to manage your dogs, keep them under control, is going to help with your road weekends, especially if you have to stop somewhere to maybe give yourself a break, or give the dog a break, a potty break. Utilizing a tie-out system or a string of dogs is going to be your biggest thing. So I use that for my dogs, and I highly recommend. Now, road trips can be stressful, but they're also very exciting. So finding ways to keep your dog safe is going to help, one, reduce the amount of stress that you're under for that hunting weekend, but also ensure that you're having success for that hunting weekend. So finding ways to keep your dog safe is just one way to prepare for your hunting weekend. If you have any specific questions on how I go about things, feel free to reach out to me in the comments. I'll do my best to answer your questions. Also, if there's any more content that you guys wish to see with these videos, please feel free to mention me, and I'll do my best. Otherwise, good luck on your guys' upcoming adventures, and please continue to watch these videos. Thanks.